The very essence of the mental game is this. The only reason an event matters is because we make it matter.
Welcome to the Mullins Farrier podcast, where I will sit down and converse with the superstars, the overachievers, the masters of our craft. Each episode will be a deep dive into their personal philosophies, their habits, the tools they use, and the secrets to not only their success, but overcoming failure as well.
First, find somebody you can mimic, then find somebody you can stand, and then try to focus on one style until you master that style.
So if you say I can't do something, well, you're absolutely right. But if you say you're going to, you're absolutely right with that too.
People say that you shouldn't define yourself by your work. That is not true.
You know what Dave Farley does when he's, lucky enough to be at the World Equestrian Games? I'm watching other people work.
Yeah.
I don't think we do that enough.
This podcast is for all of you out there who share my passion for the job and the desire to always improve. These interviews will put you in touch with the inner workings of the role models we all want to emulate. So let's get to it.
There's only so many hours in a day, and it's a matter of what you do with them.
Welcome, everyone. First, a little shopkeeping. I wanted to start out by thanking the folks at the International Association of Professional Farriers for naming me for the SAPF Meter Supply Future Leaders Award a couple months back. I really appreciate the support and dedication of Kathy Lesperance, Brian Quincy, and the rest of the board of directors that work tirelessly behind the scenes. And I also wanted to thank you, the listeners, who, as rumor has it, pushed for the podcast to qualify for continuing education credits with the SAPF. I am honored to receive this award and hope I can live up to its prediction. I was recently watching the recording of Dr. Simon Curtis and Simon Moore's webinar on trimming fronts and hinds, and something that Dr. Simon said really struck me. He recommended getting out a T-square as a reference every once in a while, just to make sure you're properly trimming to the long axis on front feet. I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something to the effect of, we shouldn't be the only profession or trade that doesn't use tools of measurement. Now, I know many of us pride ourselves on developing our eyes to see angles, shapes, and measurements well enough that we don't need the tools of reference that we probably first relied on when we started. Eventually, we just found that we were hitting the mark every time and didn't need the tools anymore. But the other day, as I was filling my truck with fuel, I noticed a sticker that stated the pump had been calibrated on a certain date and that it would be recalibrated within a couple years. I'm sure this government-regulated process is there to keep the owner of the gas station honest, but it's also there to fine-tune the pump, which will become less accurate over time as the internal parts start to wear. It made me think. I know I'm infallible, but maybe I should recalibrate myself every once in a while. So I started getting out the T-square, the calipers, and dug out a flat plate I had used years ago. I wasn't off by a lot, but I found some weaknesses that I could work on, and did. I know I've said it before that we aren't machines, but even if machines need an occasional calibration, shouldn't we? My guest today joins us all the way from Cape Town, South Africa. Robbie Miller AWCF ASF is an accomplished racehorse shoer, competitor, and promoter of the farrier profession in South Africa. He did this through his joint effort with Robbie Dawson to set up the South African Association of Professional Farriers, the SAPF, and as an official tester for the Farriers International Testing system, FITS. Robbie is a good friend of my mentor and friend Chris Gregory, but you will notice that Robbie becomes good friends with almost everyone he meets. Robbie joined me from his back garden, so there is some wind noise that I hope doesn't get too distracting. I quite enjoyed our time together, and I hope we can meet in person someday. I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. So you were out fixing some shoes this morning?
Yep, so I was on duty this morning, and this weekend, so I went and fixed some shoes up this morning. So I'm back home now, and chilling.
Gotcha. So is this a group that you rotate weekends kind of thing with, or?
No, it's just my practice. So there's myself, my youngest son, Clinton. I've got a young guy that's just joined me, Cornet. I'm friends with his father, and I actually qualified Cornet a couple of years ago through Fitz. And then I've got another farrier that's been working for me now for, must be 7 or 8 years. That was also a student of Chris's school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So every weekend, one of us gets a duty where you just you just look after fix-ups and that sort of thing. So you got 3 weekends off that you can do whatever it is you want to do.
That's nice.
And one weekend, it's just a couple of hours in the morning. Sometimes you get away with a freebie.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a busy morning.
Okay. Well, that's not so bad. So are multi-farrier practices pretty common down there?
There are a few. A good friend of mine up in Johannesburg, Andy Rivas, also a race plater. He was probably sort of one of the first guys to really get going with a multi-farrier practice. And he's been running his, must be 35 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, very successfully.
So how did you get your start doing this wild and wonderful career?
Well, it's a bit of a long story. When I was a kid growing up, well, a bit of a short, long story. I wanted to be a jockey. My late father was a jockey. My late uncle was a jockey. I wanted to be a jockey, but I loved food growing up. So, yeah, and, needless to say, at the end of the day, I wanted to work with horses. I loved horses. I wanted to work with horses. I could have chosen to become a racehorse trainer, but I felt that wasn't for me.
Okay.
And a friend of mine at school, he used to shoe his father's horses. His father was a racehorse trainer. This is many, many years ago. I watched him shoeing and I thought, sure, but you know what, this is something that I could actually quite like. So
okay.
That was where the seed was originally planted.
Right. And then how does it work there? Is there an official apprenticeship or?
Yeah, back in those days, we were all conscripted to do national service. And I got called up. I did my 2 years national service. They actually asked me where would I like to go when I do my national service. And I said I'd love to go to the equestrian unit. And so they duly sent me to the Air Force.
That's close.
Go figure. So I did my 2 years in the Air Force and I got rank. I spent my first year of national service on course and I became a non-commissioned officer, a corporal. And after I completed my 2 years, I still wanted to become a farrier and I still wanted to go to the equestrian center. So I signed up and joined permanent force. So I ultimately spent 4 years in the military, and my last 2 years I spent doing a farrier apprenticeship.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, we had a very, very good cavalry unit back in those days.
Okay. Without aging you, around when would this be? Because you keep saying those days.
1987. I did my national service in 85, 86, and I did my apprenticeship in 87 and 88.
Okay. Now, would the cavalry still exist?
It does, but barely, hey. It's not what it used to be.
So then from there, did you just set out on your own or did you apprentice with somebody?
In 1989, I started off on my own and, I worked and it was more like a job more than anything else. I was earning a living. And then we had Professor Tracy Turner come out. I can't remember the year exactly. And that started to ignite something in me. And then Grant Moon came to South Africa in, I think it was 2000 or 2001. And I watched this guy making shoes and I thought, yeah, come on, this is now what horseshoeing is about.
Mm-hmm.
That was an absolute turnaround for me as a person, for me as a farrier. It just steamrolled from there.
Okay, so it became less of a job and more of a passion.
100%. Absolutely.
So when that was ignited, what did you do? Did you find people there that you could learn how to forge shoes off of, or?
No, to the contrary. We actually, Conrad Troe, he's a South African, and he invited us. We had our first ever SA Champs Farrier competition, I think it was in 2002.
Oh, okay.
And the two top finishers, Conrad invited to come and spend a couple of 3 weeks or whatever it was with him in Kentucky. And from there, we were headed off to go to compete at the World Blacksmith Championships in Calgary.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, for me, I was so way out of my depth. I was like floundering in this pool of excellence.
Right.
It was one of the best things that could have happened to me, because from there I had this strive to want to be able to build shoes and learn and grow and develop.
Wow. Like around that time, would you have the benefit of YouTube and things like that to kind of learn?
Was it even before cell phones?
Yeah,
Well, I
right.
can't remember. A long time ago. Look, I'm only 23. It's just all the years of shoeing that makes me look like this.
I know, they've still been good to you. Being somebody so isolated from that kind of crowd, how did you continue educating yourself, especially in the forge?
You know, I remember when the internet started coming around and people were trying to sell internet and, you know, with all this new technology. And the first thing I wanted to know was, is there anything about farriery and blacksmithing on there? And the guy said, yeah, you can find stuff over there. And, you know, then, you know, you start going on to finding stuff on the internet on blacksmithing and farriery and that. And it started to get going there. And, you know, us as an association, we started to bring a lot of guys out then. You know, we had Billy Crothers out. We had, there's so many guys, too many to mention. One of the most prominent would have been Chris Gregory.
Okay.
You know, I met Chris that year in 2002 was when I met Chris in Calgary. Our friendship has kind of grown over the years that today we might not talk to each other for a couple of months or whatever, but, you know, we just pick it up from where we left off and we've become really, really good friends.
Yeah.
Chris he's probably been one of the most instrumental people in the development of farriery in South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is that through the FITS program?
Not only through the FITS program. That came about after.
Okay.
Yeah, we had Chris out here a couple of times and he ran a couple of exams for us, you know, very low level exams, but it was something that we needed here in South Africa because our equestrian center in the military had kind of collapsed, you know, with the end of apartheid, and we had the Newmarket Farrier School at Newmarket Racecourse in Joburg, and that kind of fell away as well. A lot of guys went through there as well. So South Africa was in a space where it needed something.
Okay.
We did this. It's a very, I mean, it was sort of probably basic CF level examinations. And Chris was the first examiner here to do that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we got him out again. And yeah, we just sort of kind of started growing from there. And then we got a bunch of other people come out. There's so many amazing people that have come out here, and as we go I'll start remembering all the names and they're all just sort of popping into mind.
Yep.
With the FITS, Chris had written an exam for Brazil. I think it was in 2009 or 2010 he came here. He'd just become an examiner for the Worshipful Company of Farriers, and I got hold of him and I said to him, Chris, why don't you bring that Brazilian exam to South Africa? Which he did in 2010, and I think that was actually when the birth of FITS proper, because it was originally an exam that Chris had written for the Brazilian guys.
Okay.
So, and it's, well, you know where it's grown from there.
No kidding.
So, yeah, it's been an amazing journey, hey?
No kidding. I embarked on it myself, and I'm working on the ASF. Hopefully I can get down once the borders open up and finish the last half of it.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So as a system, like the Farrier system there, is it kind of like North America where it's a free-for-all? Anybody can hang a shingle and call themselves a farrier, or?
Sadly so, because, you know, there are a lot of guys that you really want to try and draw into some sort of system that we have, and they're just not interested.
Yeah.
You know, they think it's an easy buck, and for the most part, it's horses that suffer for it. And
exactly.
you know, you're a horseman, I'm a horseman. At the end of the day, we're doing this for the horses. As our association, we're busy now at the moment trying to work on something that we can get some sort of government legislation, but it's a long, arduous road.
Yeah, a lot of red tape.
Oh man, you don't want to know. But yeah, slowly catches the monkey, eh?
Yeah. Now that must be a South African phrase. So How many members would you have in your association there?
As a country, I'd guesstimate that we probably have about 400 farriers, maybe maximum.
Okay.
Our association has probably got about 80, 90 members. So it's hard. You know, we're a fairly new association. We kind of broke away from the old South African Farriers Association to form the South African Association of Professional Farriers. And a lot of the guys from the old association sort of been fighting against what we're doing, showing resistance in that. But you know what, slowly, it's the same as with everything. You know, if it's new, some of the old guys, they want to stick to what's, you know, the old ways and that. But a lot of the guys are slowly starting to reconsider and think about it. They've seen the things that we've done and that we are doing. So hopefully we can get them on board.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so, and how new would this new association be? Like, how recently did that start?
The association's been around now for about a little less long than Fitz has been around.
Okay.
So it's about 8 years now, 9 years now. Robbie Dawson up on the East Coast in Durban, him and I got this whole thing going. And you know, we were all about education. We wanted something that where farriers could get educated and they could come in and, you know, want to learn more and want to know more. And it's done really, really well up until this point.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, we're very happy with the progress that we've made. I think in South Africa today, we have more knowledgeable, more qualified farriers than we've ever had.
Ah, amazing. So now what does your business primarily look like? Is it mostly racehorses or all racehorses?
Yeah, mostly racehorses. I have a little bit of a spread, but the bulk of my work is racing work. I've got a bit of stud work that I do as well. I've got a really good stud farm that I work on. So I've got a handful of private clients that I shoe for, show jumpers and dressage horses and that.
Okay.
I don't do any of the big, what we call hack yards, so to speak. My racing work is probably between 500 and 600 horses a month.
Holy man.
But I mean, we are a team of 4. Sometimes 1 or 2 guys will come in and join us every now and again.
Okay.
But we probably are on a daily basis, but just between the team, we're probably averaging about 40 horses a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that term before, a hack farm.
That's what we call the show jumpers, the backyard horses, the happy hackers, or the hairnets. They call them the hairnets. My fiance Trish, she's a hairnet, but she doesn't like to be told she's a hairnet.
Guess not. Okay.
But she's a good horsewoman too.
Okay. So in order to practice and sort of hone your forging skills, were you able to do that on the racehorses, or was that primarily with the other clients?
No, that was with the other clients. I'm very lucky. I've got even my racing clients that I work for are all absolute horsemen and women. I know around the world nowadays that we as farriers work for a lot of people that aren't horsemen.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
For me, yeah, I've just been very blessed that I actually work for a bunch of horsemen and a bunch of horsewomen. So, you know, they know if they run into trouble with the horse's feet, it's up to me to sort it out, and by whichever means I feel necessary.
Okay.
So, which is awesome for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's great. And have people who have your back too, like with the more difficult horses. And
yeah, absolutely.
That has come up a lot.
Especially plating racehorses, because, you know, if you're plating racehorses day in and day out, you can sort of get a little bit bored and it become a little bit monotonous, you know?
Okay.
For me, not that much, you know, because of the clients that I work for and because of the caliber of horses that we work on. It's awesome. Every day is just awesome.
Good
Very
for you.
blessed.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to hear that. So what was your first experience like hot shoeing? If you were plating all the time, that must have been a learning curve.
I remember it like yesterday. My brother-in-law, Stephen, was with me, and he was my apprentice at the time. There's all this shoemaking and hot shoeing, and I said, no, Steve, come, we're going to start hot shoeing now. And we get to the first client, and I put this front pair on, hot fit, and I tell the client, this is years ago, I say, listen, you know what, this hot fitting, it's so much better, and it's everything. And I'd finish the horse, and they put the horse into the paddock, and as the horse came through, both shoes flew off. So it was a good start.
Well, you kept at it.
Yeah, well, it made me want to go back to race plating.
Yeah, there are lots of moments like that, especially when you start in the forge where you wonder what the heck you're doing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was awesome. I'd spend hours. I mean, I used to go. I had a little workshop out back at home, and I'd go in there every night. I mean, I had a friend that lived across the valley, and he could hear me tinkering away at 11:30 at night, sometimes up to midnight, just trying to learn and understand the whole process of shoemaking.
Yeah.
We don't have any of the old guys like England has, or like America or Canada has. We don't have the Bob Marshalls or the Craig Turnkers or the Nigel Fennells or the Dave Wilsons or any of those guys. We don't have them here.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had to sort of try and figure it out as we've gone along. My first fuller that I used was a buffer, and my first pair of tongs was a pair of old crocodile clinchers.
No way.
Yeah, so we've come along a little bit since then.
In order to get supplies and stuff like that, are there shops set up all throughout the country, or?
I think our biggest major supplier is a company called Western Shop. They bring in a lot of the Mustad products, the Delta products, that type of stuff.
Okay.
We have a Kirkard supplier in South Africa as well. Me, myself, I prefer using the Delta products and the Mustad products.
Okay.
So my business 100% supports Western Shop. I use all the St. Croix race plates and the Mustad nail.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good quality equipment, good quality stock. It keeps us going.
Oh, good. And as you progressed with the forging, in order to get tools, did you do that basically through asking the shop to order them in, or how did that process work?
Yeah, that's where we started. Obviously, as you grow, especially in forging, and you start to learn how to make some of the basic things, and then you advance a little bit and you make a pair of tongs, and you throw that pair of tongs away because it was a dud, and you try again.
Yep.
We don't have the vast range that a lot of other places in the world have, but we've got access to Trish. She brings in a lot of stuff. She's got a deal with handmade shoes in England.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if we need to put in an order, it's very, very expensive for us with our rand being as weak as it is against the British pound and against the US dollar and that, but we bring in a lot of really nice select items for guys that want it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
From a handmade standpoint, what would be some of the stuff that you would have put on? Like, would you use concave a lot there?
We've got a friend of mine, Scotty Borland. It was in fact him and I that went to Calgary the first time in 2002.
Okay.
They've got one section at the moment. It's like a 20 by 10, like a 3/4 3/8 section. Yeah, I'm hoping that they're going to start looking at other sections. So that's about as far as we go on concave.
Okay.
Yeah, and then for the most part, it's flat steel, 20 by 10, 25 by 10.
Gotcha.
All the basic sort of sizes, same as what you guys can get over there.
Okay. With this journey that you started on, did that take you around the world too? Have you been able to get out and venture out in the world?
Absolutely. Farrier has been so good to me. Hey, I've competed in Calgary at the World Championships a number of times. I've competed at a couple of WCB events.
Oh, cool.
Fitz has taken me to examine in the States at Chris's and at Dusty's. I've examined in Australia at Bobsam and at Kim Broad's place. Yeah, I've gotten around a little bit with horseshoeing. I've been very lucky.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's one of the things I remember sitting at the table with Chris and him actually saying, like, could you imagine shoeing horses would do this much for us to be able to travel the world and meet the people that we do?
No, it's crazy. You'd never think it, eh?
No, not at all.
No, it's been an amazing journey.
Now, what was your journey for the AW like?
When I got my ASF and then I became an examiner for FITS, I got invited to Chris's to come and examine there. And I met a guy by the name of Stephen Newman, who's a fellow of the Worshipful Company. And Stephen and I subsequently also became really good friends. I'm the pretty one between us, though. Stephen, he's an incredible human being. He loves to also see people doing well and prospering, and he loves to see people learning and growing. He's an incredible teacher as well. And he phoned me up the one day and said, no, come on, you need to get off your butt now and you need to get the Worshipful Company to come to South Africa, because they started going to America and they started going to Australia. I never ever considered that I'd ever have the opportunity to do any of the Worshipful Company exams. When Stephen spoke to me about this and getting them to come to South Africa, and he said to me, but you're not going to do the diploma, you're going to do the associateship. So I said to him, but how am I going to do that? I said, I'm not a CJF, I'm a FITS ASF, and it's not recognized by the Worshipful Company. So he said, no, they've put a new clause in there now, which they call the fast track. So you, with your years of experience, you can apply to do the fast track to become an associate. So I went online and I had a look at it, and I thought that's something worth striving for now. It's like a little light that sort of opened up at the end of a tunnel, that there's a possibility. I got hold of Jenny Eifold, who was the registrar of the Worshipful Company at the time. And I spoke to her and I said to her, I got some information from her, and she said, look, this is what you guys need in order for us to come. So I put it together and made it happen, and we got enough guys, enough candidates to do. I think we had 10 candidates for the diploma, and there were 2 of us, Johnny Murdoch and myself, that put ourselves up for the associateship. And we paid our fees and it was accepted, and that was when the proper stress started, because I had to start studying. And But it's been amazing. I mean, I'd get up at 5 in the morning and I'd be in the books. Then after an hour and a half every day of studying, I'd get up, get dressed, go and work, come back, go to my workshop, build shoes. And I did that for the better part of a year, every day, every weekend, day in and day out.
Yeah.
They came and we had the exams and it went really well.
Good for you. So you're somebody, once you've decided you're going to do something, it's all in.
Oh, 100%. My friend Andy Rivas that I was telling you about earlier up in Joburg, he calls me a honey badger. He says, because when I get my teeth into something, I don't let go. I'm like that. I'm like that with our association. I'm like that with anything. If I put my mind to it and I set myself down to it, I go.
Yeah.
And I don't stop until I get really close or I get it.
Right.
Chris called me, in fact, after I got my associates, and he said to me, you know that there's a little secret that very few people know about passing exams. So I said to him, what's that? He says, no, it's a little thing called preparation. He says to me, have you ever heard of it? I said, yeah. He says, well, that's what you did. You prepared. That's why you did so well.
No kidding.
But you know what Chris is like.
I can see why you two have quite a strong bond.
Yeah, he's very close to my heart, is Chris, eh?
He'd be a fellow honey badger for sure.
He did ignite in me because Chris is a guy that likes to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And, whether he's learning about shoeing or whether he's learning about tattooing or playing his guitar or flying, he likes to learn. And I think it's what drives him is this love that he has for learning.
Yep.
He's kind of sort of awakened that in me a little bit, where I like to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's good, to know stuff. It's so good to know stuff.
Yeah. Like you said, it was a job before, and then it changed once you realized how much more there was to it and the journey to learn all of that. And you never can learn it all. So have you escaped Heartland without a tattoo, or did Chris strap you to the chair too?
No.
You've got one.
I've got one here.
Yeah, not many people escape it. Apparently, even if you trip in front of them, you'll get up and have one.
I think I'm probably the only person on the planet that's got a FITS logo on my body.
Gotcha.
I was Chris's guinea pig when he was designing the Fitz logo.
Oh, wow. So are there a few
No,
crossed
I'm
out?
kidding.
Nah, I don't like that one. I was going to ask, now that you're into autumn, is this the time of year where things will slow down? Does your racing circuit slow down?
Yeah, we have our summer season of racing where we have all of our big races, all the big group races and graded races and that.
Okay.
And then come sort of end of March, it starts to settle down a little bit and quieten down. And the mad wave moves up the east coast to Durban. So my very good friend Robbie Dawson has got a bunch of my horses from here that he's looking after in Durban.
Okay.
It was officially the start of their Durban racing season today.
Right.
Yeah, and a horse that I normally look after back home here, he's just won one of the big races there today. So
Oh, congratulations.
it's pretty awesome because, you know, Robbie Dawson and myself are also really, really close friends. We've known each other over 30 years.
Wow.
And he's a top farrier, top race plater as well. And it's so nice when my horses go up to Durban and I know they're going to be looked after really well,
Right,
and
yeah.
they'll come back and, you know, nothing will have changed. So the horses through the year, as they're racing, you don't have to come back to put fires out and
Mm-hmm.
try and fix all sorts of things because it's just been constant right through.
Oh, that's cool.
I think that's where we're really lucky here between Andy and Robbie and myself. We probably got the 3 biggest racing practices in South Africa.
Okay.
You know, if any Cape Town horses go to Joburg, or if Joburg horses come to Cape Town or Durban, vice versa, we maintain the horses as they are, you know, without making too many funny, weird, strange changes.
Right. Now, what's a common lameness problem that you would find with the racehorses?
Usually the jockey on his back.
Yeah?
Seriously though, we're very lucky. I've got some really, really good footed horses. Most of my race horses, you could drive a roofing nail through their feet.
Okay.
You know, they're really good walls, good feet, good shapes, good, you know, everything's in place. Here in the Cape with the heavy sand that we have here, you'll get a fair few sort of high suspensory issues. Yeah, it's you get little fetlock chips, little knee chips, that type of stuff.
Okay.
But for the most part, we've got a lot of really good, really sound horses.
Okay. I apologize for my ignorance, but just with the race plates, how much therapeutic stuff do you have to do? Or is it mostly just maintaining a good sound horse and that's what you go do?
You know, maintenance, trimming is so important. Having as big a practice as I have, and this last season's been really tough, and horses do fall through the cracks and you'll miss a horse because we're getting them done every 3 to 4 weeks.
Wow. Yeah.
You're going to have horses that'll fall through the cracks that you won't see after 5, sometimes 6 weeks, sometimes 7 weeks. You'll have missed a horse. And you come back and you've got this pile of foot to cut out. Yeah, once you get through it, you're right back where you were with a nice, good foot. We've got a couple of horses that come along that you've got negative plantar angles behind or a little bit flat-footed in front. But for the most part, you know, it's good basic horseshoeing. I was actually saying to Cornet, that's just started with me now at the beginning of this last month, that I actually can't remember when last I actually forged a bar shoe to put on a horse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we get a lot of... Tom Runnels has just come back from Dubai, and he's a very good friend of mine as well. You know, he's getting a lot of inserts made, and he's bringing in impression material into the country, and he's making all sorts of amazing things, you know, for the market here in South Africa. I bought a bunch of steel inserts from him, and they're sitting in my workshop. I don't need them. I've got so
Right.
few horses that, you know, that need anything other than just a good basic shoeing job.
That's amazing. Do you think that speaks a lot to the fact that you have that consistency with the horses where they're in good care? I mean, when they leave you and go to your friend up north, and that must play into it.
It must do, you know. I think it's the same, you know, the same principles apply with the guys up north. Stick to the basics. Don't try to do anything fancy. What I've learned is that the more I know and the more skilled I become, and through the processes that I've been through, getting the ASF and becoming an associate, is that I found the horses do better the simpler you keep it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't overemphasize good basic trimming
Yeah.
as a start and as a precursor to everything else.
Yep. We've had some people here who offer like weekend courses in trimming, and I think, how could you learn in a weekend what somebody takes an entire apprenticeship to learn, right? I don't think it's because we're particularly slow. I mean, I might be, but
I've just learned how to read to number 4.
yeah, it really does set them up well for everything else. Now, in your process of learning for the fits and for the AAW, what sort of shoeing things do you think changed in your practice or for you? Like as you learned more stuff about anatomy and got into the books, how do you think that played into your daily work?
The more you know, the less you need to try to do, if that makes sense. We were actually talking about it the other day, and we were trying to work out how many horses in my practice have any sort of therapeutic or remedial application, and I think I can count them on one hand. I'll get called in by other people to work on some of their horses that they've got issues with. I did a horse the other day for a trainer that I don't ordinarily shoe for, and I got some of Tom's little aluminium spider plates.
Okay.
Like a little 1.6 millimeter aluminium pad, and I put some dimmer in, and she went off to another center and she raced, and she ran a really, really good race. She finished second, but an improved run. But for the most part, it's keeping it simple. You know, it's like I say, as much as I've learned and as much as I've grown myself with knowledge and skill and experience, the more I've realized that the simpler you keep it, the better it is for the horse.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, some of those extra things we put on there can actually be a detriment as opposed to helping.
Yeah, or I can go on about the really fancy pattern, cork and wedge, split bar contraction that I stuck on a horse just now. I'm kidding.
With your hunter jumper clients, how different is that for you? Like the basics are the same, right?
Yeah, they are. Obviously, those horses, they're not on the same shoeing cycle as the race horses or the stud farm horses are. So we do those horses every 5 weeks.
Yep.
And it's all hot shoeing, hot fitting. I was actually, the other day, I was at a client and I just felt the need. I had some concave section in the truck. So we knocked up a pair of concave shoes for him and tacked them on him. And that was pretty cool because I haven't built a shoe for a little while.
Okay.
That was fun. But yeah, it's all hot shoeing, and it's the same as anybody else would do. You know, I carry quite a range of different types of stocks. Half of it I don't need, but it's cool having it on the rack.
Yep. Having the option there.
Yeah, it makes you look clever.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And then there's Chris, who will open up the back of his truck and there'll be 2 sections of bar stock and he can make anything he needs out of it.
I've seen Chris take a section of inch by 3/8 and make a pair of racing Elamites. No, I'm kidding.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So you've seen Chris's 2-heat bar shoe. Have you bet him on it?
No, but a friend of mine who was actually on the podcast, Peter Arento, he bet him, and Chris dropped the shoe at some point in the arena footing, and something about that would not let it weld. It was one of the first times Chris had lost money.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I'd seen that.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen Chris's face turn red, but it did.
Oh, well, it happens, I guess. Are you sure it wasn't somebody else trying to make a 2-heat shoot, not Chris?
I mean, I didn't check his ID or anything, but... But yeah, he still talks about that pretty much every time I see him. That time he went to Canada and lost money. But he only had to pay out in Canadian, so it wasn't so bad.
You should have asked me to send some rands. It would have been really cheap.
From a world perspective, how did COVID affect you guys there? Is it still an issue, or is it?
Yeah, it is still an issue. It's lightened up. I don't know how other countries have handled it, but we started at level 5 where it was total lockdown.
Okay.
I was at home for about 3 days, and then I went back out again. I got all sorts of permits, essential animal welfare services.
Yep.
In the racing yards, for the most part, most of my trainers pulled shoes off of everything, but we kept them on their regular 4-week cycle being trimmed.
Okay.
So we've pretty much carried on straight through. We've been very, very lucky through this COVID story.
And we have here as farriers as well. Most of us have almost been busier. More people are at home and they're pleasure horses and stuff, and they're buying horses. But then you get into that problem we talked about at the beginning, where you have people who aren't true horsemen or horsewomen, and the challenges that are associated with that.
It's hard work. It's harder than shoeing horses, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Now, with the racing moving away from you, is this a slower time of year for you?
Yeah, we do slow down a little bit. In the Southern Hemisphere, our season runs from 1 August round to 31 July.
Okay.
So our foaling season starts 1 August. Our racing year starts 1 August. So that's when it starts to pick up and become really busy, especially for me down here in the Cape in the summer. And the stud farm that I work on, we've got 138 mares, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this year we've had 80 or 90 foals. So what happens with them now at this age where they are now, they're around 6 months old. They'll start, a lot of them are getting weaned now. And then this client of mine, they've got another farm up in the Karoo, which is a semi-desert area. So all of those foals that have been weaned will go up there and they'll spend the next 6 months up there. So the stud farm becomes quite quiet for us as well.
Okay.
Yeah, when they become yearlings and then they start selecting them for the various sales, then they'll come back to Cape Town and they'll spend a few months back here as they get prepared for the sales. And then we carry on with them until they get sent off to go to the various sales that they're going to go to.
Okay.
So that quietens down a little bit as well. Our racing, we do race through the year. We still race. We probably, at the moment in the Cape, with COVID and with things being what they are, we're probably having about 6 race meetings a month at the moment.
Okay.
So, we'll have every other week, we'll probably miss a midweek meeting, but then we'll generally race on a Saturday, every Saturday. So we're still going, we're still racing. We're just not racing for the big races like we do in the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it still keeps going and everything just still keeps going.
So it goes from a crazy pace to a more tolerable one?
That's it. I call it the mad wave. So the mad wave is now headed up East Coast to Robbie. so he can have it for a few months.
Just wash your hands and but
Yeah. I sit and enjoy it watching them on TV.
Gotcha. And then would this be the time of the year, are you actually able to take a vacation, and like if COVID wasn't a thing?
Yeah, ordinarily the last few years, Trisha's actually been amazing for me in a lot of ways. And one of them is the fact that she's encouraged me to take a holiday, because I was always, whenever I took time off from shoeing horses here in South Africa, I'd go to Chris's or I'd go to Dusty's or I'd go there on holiday and shoe horses. So yeah, Trisha's actually taught me about actually relaxing and having a cocktail and lying on the beach and, doing all the things that other normal people do.
And what is civilian life like for you?
It's refreshing, but
right.
After about 5 days, your back starts aching because you need to get under a horse.
Yep. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's good.
This portion of the podcast is called the Stratum Tectorium. These are the short answer, surface stuff questions, but it's okay if the guest wants to go deeper. Enjoy. Do you have a favorite book?
I used to read a lot when I was a youngster. I don't read that much anymore unless it's Farrier related.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a massive library of Farrier books. Anatomy, I'm really starting to enjoy now, even more so than when I studied for my associateship. So
Now that the pressure isn't on.
it's more fun and more enjoyable now because, it's not like I have to learn it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite brand of nails?
I use mustard nails. On my racehorses, I use the FJ Noughts, really good nail. And then on most of my sports horses, I'll use the mustard concave nails. I've got quite a range. So from E2s up to E6s, I enjoy mustard products.
Okay. Yeah, I get that feeling.
Yeah.
What shoe sizes do you generally have to store the most of?
Racehorses, 5, 6s, and 7s. I've got a couple of 8s. I've got one 3-year-old filly that I had to get size 9s for.
Holy jeez.
No, she's proper. She's big, she's athletic, and she's got big feet. You know what they say about horses with big feet?
Good understanding?
No, they got to have big shoes.
Oh.
But yeah, no, as a 2-year-old, size 8s were becoming a bit tight on her.
Wow.
So yeah, she's got big feet.
No kidding. What's your favorite make of rasp?
I'm using the Legend Excel, the green tang.
Yeah, that's a pretty common answer.
Yeah, I enjoy them, hey.
What's your favorite type of bar stock to work with?
Whatever's available.
You'll take whatever you can get?
Dusty Franklin he's a very good friend of mine, and he's another phenomenal teacher. He taught me about forging a section. Inch by 3/8, 25 by 10 is a really nice section to forge. I carry quite a lot of that. I've got the 3/4 5/16 and the 3/4 3/8, and then some of the heavier stuff, 1.25 by 1/2 inch for making draft shoes. But that's 25 by 10 is a really nice section to forge.
Okay. Now, are there many draft horses in South Africa?
The last time I shot a draft horse was in Calgary in 2005.
Oh, okay, I wondered. When we get calls from clients, like potential new ones, we actually have to make sure that we qualify and make sure that there isn't a draft horse in the mix, because that can determine whether or not you're taking the account or not.
Oh, is that so, hey? Yeah, I can understand. I mean, that's going to take another 2 hours out of your day.
Yeah, and about 4 horses worth of leaning on your back.
Yeah, I love racehorses.
Yeah. What is your dream farrier rig?
My dream farrier rig. The bay horse, the Stonewell, what the guys are making over there now is just unbelievable. I mean, it makes shoeing horses so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mobile factory, all set up the way you need it. And
Absolutely. Yeah. One day when I'm big.
What's your favorite pastime after work?
I like going in my workshop. I've just finished building my workshop. It's right here behind me. I've started playing around with a little bit of knife making.
Oh, cool.
I've made a really good friend here who's a really, really good knife maker, and he's teaching me some of the finer art of making Damascus and making knives. I suppose I could say I'm a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't been on the mats for probably about 2 years now. Just been so busy, but yeah, I started doing jiu-jitsu must be about 8 or 9 years ago.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely love it. I've made some really cool friends. In fact, through my shoeing and through this, I've been very blessed with the people that I've gotten to meet and the friends that I've made. The thing with jiu-jitsu though, it's quite interesting because I'm usually the old bugger on the mat. These young guys, they're so hard and they go so fast. I'm lucky that I can think a little bit, so you wait for these guys to gas and then you start thinking on the mat, and it's quite fun to watch how it usually pans out.
Well, you're used to working on an animal that has very fast reflexes.
Yeah, and weighs about 600 kilos. So
yeah, a really quick-moving human being is probably not all that big of a deal.
Yeah, probably the worst experience in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is when, like, I weigh probably about 75 kilograms. And when you've got 110 kilos of massive man muscle on top of you trying to choke you out,
Yep.
and you see this little bead of sweat running down his nose, and your mouth is wide open and you're gasping for air, and you know where that little bead of sweat is going to land, right in the back of your throat. That's terrifying.
Yep. As a kid, I actually practiced the jiu-jitsu light version judo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
awesome.
did that for years.
Judo is amazing. It's an amazing, amazing skill.
It's come in handy being chucked by horses, and I automatically just roll without even thinking about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My sensei, my Professor Jark, graded for his black belt a few years ago. I was still training a lot, and I was super fit, and my body was conditioned. And he used me as his dummy to grade his black belt. Oh man, the throws, the range of throws, because he's a brown belt judoka as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he must have used over 400 techniques on me. I don't know how I got to work the following Monday. It was a massive honor, hey.
No kidding. Oh, wow. I'm glad I asked that question. What's the next thing on your bucket list?
I'll say with trepidation and fear, the fellowship.
Yeah, I wondered.
Yep. I have an idea. I have a lot of stuff going on around in my head on a thesis paper. It's trying to figure out how I'm going to put it all onto paper.
Right.
But I have an idea which I've been kind of working on over the last sort of 2 years, since recently after I got my associateship, and it kind of happened by default. And it's, I'm hoping that I can turn it into a thesis paper. I think it could be quite valid.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think that this process and the fact that so many people are interested in doing it, I mean, it's going to progress our craft so much more.
Absolutely. I spoke with Simon. Simon Curtis is also, apart from being a mentor, for the fact that I'm in the same side of shoeing as what he is, with racing and breeding.
Yeah.
But Simon came out many years ago, about, I can't remember how many years ago. And then we had him out again a few years back, and we've been in contact quite regularly. And I've also, I like to think that I can call Simon Curtis a friend as well.
Mm.
He's a wonderful man with an incredible knowledge.
No kidding.
He was saying to me that although the Worshipful Company doesn't accept the fits as a comparative to their exams, he says it has been good for the Worshipful Company having the fits come to be, because so many farriers from fits have strove to want to do the company exams.
Yep. It's a nice stepping stone.
Absolutely. And whether people want to see it or admit it or not, there is a very healthy symbiotic relationship between FITS and the Worshipful Company, although FITS isn't recognized by the company.
Yes, for sure.
FITS has most certainly, at the very least, found a very, very nice place in the world, and I hope it does grow and develop.
Yes, I think it will. I don't think it can help but grow.
Yeah, being an examiner for FITS, the stuff that I've learned and the people that I've met, it's been phenomenal, hey?
Yeah. What is your favorite brand of keg shoe? And I think you already kind of alluded to this earlier.
I like the Kirkard range of products, I really do. But personal reasons, I won't use the Kirkard products at this point in time.
Okay.
Hopefully things will change in the near future, and we can get somebody here that we could go and see and go and use some of their products. But for me, I enjoy the Mustard products.
Mm-hmm.
So they work well for me in my practice anyway.
Right. What's your ideal number of horses to shoe all around in one day?
A lot of the guys here accuse me of only shoeing 3 horses a day. That's why my rasp lasts as long as it does. But look, I mean, at this point in time now, for me to do 9 or 10 horses, I've got guys that wrench and clench for me, and I've got guys that carry my toolbox and wipe the sweat off my brow and
fan the
Yes, the big fans and the grapes.
Yeah.
I think I'm physically capable of shoeing 8 or 9 horses nicely in a day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I don't really like to do much more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then I feel like I'm rushing and, I'm not doing due justice to the horses that I'm working on.
Right. You must have done numbers for quite a while, plating. What kind of a toll is that taking on you physically?
I think God loves me a whole lot, eh? Because no, really, I mean, not only because I'm a farrier, I think because I'm physically still, yeah, I'm good, eh?
Yeah.
You get the normal sort of niggles, and you'll have the normal little hiccups where you'll get a kick, but for the most part, I've been extremely blessed, eh?
Good for you.
Yeah.
What's your favorite anvil?
I've got a Legend 120 that I bought in the States. We were out at Chris's, and Greg, that's with me, that was at Chris's school. He brought all of his stuff back home, so I jumped in and ordered a Legend 120, and I got that in. I've got a big anvil. It's an old Brooks. It takes 3 guys to pick it up, but I've got it in my workshop, and I've had it since forever. I think I've had it since about 2002, round there and thereabouts. That it goes wherever I go. Hey?
Yeah.
I think if Trish didn't fight with me, I'd stick it next to my bed. But I've got an anvil that I've been designing as well. It's something that I'm busy working on, and I'm hoping in the near future to get some of these out. A nice truck anvil, which you can use as a plater, you can use, for hot shoeing. So I'm hoping that I can get this anvil going. It weighs about 40 kilos. Nice wide face.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, nice round horn. So yeah. Hopefully something can develop from there.
Well, keep me posted on that one.
Yeah, I will do for sure.
We'll make sure we get the word out there.
Cool.
Do you have a favorite inspirational quote?
I do, and it's not a quote from anybody other than yours truly. And it's quite simple, is that there's always something to look forward to. And I think if you sit and think about it, just this conversation with you, I've been looking forward to.
Yeah, ditto.
There's always something to look forward to if you look for it. I know people fall on hard times, and people can fall upon sad times and all the rest of it. But I think if you just take a step back and you have a think about it, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, and there is always something to look forward to.
That's excellent. Yeah, that seems to be a philosophy you definitely live to the fullest.
Absolutely.
Now, I already know the answer to this question because I saw a picture and the landscaping. Do you have a Farrier Terrier?
She stays at home at the moment and chews in my lawn.
Yep.
Trish actually surprised me with a little Belgian Malinois puppy. Her name is Harley. You know Harley Quinn?
Okay, yeah.
She's got the little teardrops on the side that look like
really?
little tattoos. Yeah.
Okay.
So we started training with her. I had a pit bull, a rescue pit bull. Cape Town, the Cape, there's dog fighting is quite a big thing, illegal dog fighting.
Oh, okay.
A few years ago, I went up the west coast. We went and had a look at this little female pit bull that had been rescued from a dog fighting circle. And I was lucky enough to have Ellie for about 5 years of her life.
Oh, wow.
I lost her November 2019. She used to go with me in the truck to work every day. And
Did she?
She was the most amazing with other dogs. I mean, one of my clients has got a little Chihuahua named George. And Ellie, being a pit bull, needless to say, was terrified of George.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But she was that type of dog, no matter what had been done to her, other dogs she never ever saw as a threat, or she was always very timid towards other dogs.
Wow.
Where I had my workshop prior to building it here at home wasn't one of the safest areas in the country. Ellie was extremely protective of me over there. Even when the security guards came past, she'd want to have a go at them. Yeah, I looked at 1 or 2 photos of her today, and my heart was still a little bit sad. Hey?
Yeah, it's such a part of your life, especially every day at work with you. And
Absolutely. Harley, I think at some point will come with me to work a little bit, but I don't think it'll be all day, every day.
mm-hmm.
She's going to be a protector for Trish at home, and
Okay.
as well as for me sometimes. And then we've got 3 Bostons, and we've got a cat that thinks it's a Boston.
Busy place.
Busy place. And then the horses out there in the paddocks.
Oh, okay.
I'll turn the camera around
So
in a
you can
minute.
get a view, yeah. If you're stumped on a case or need backup, who do you call?
Okay, let me start. There's Andy Rivas, there's Robbie Dawson, there is Chris Gregory, there's Cody Gregory, there's Dusty Franklin, there's Stephen Newman, there's Nigel Fennell, there's Bob Sim, there's Kim Broad, there's... Should I carry on?
Looks like you've got a list.
Quite a list.
And I've noticed a common theme here. Most of the farriers, or all the farriers you've met, are actually good friends.
Absolutely. As I say, it's I think God really does love me a lot, because he's blessed me in more ways than I could even begin to imagine.
And some good people in your life.
Through the guys that I've met, hey.
Yeah.
Nikki Smith is another one. Amazing. We had Nikki out here a couple of years ago, and what an amazing experience, hey.
Yeah.
So we examined together.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there's just so many great people in this trade. Do you have a favorite shoe or package? Now, I know you like to keep things simple, but for a mystery lameness, when the client doesn't know what the lameness is, or pursue diagnostics.
When they diagnose IDK.
I don't know.
That's the one. Yeah, no, it's quite a common ailment, I think, amongst horses around the world, hey, IDK.
Yep, for sure.
I like arch support. I think you can get out of a lot of pickles with a little bit of arch support, be it a wide bar and dim, or a spider plate and dim, or a pour-in, or anything that offers arch support and relieves a little bit of load on the peripheral wall.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot of the time it somehow does help horses that have these mystery IDK ailments.
I'm going to start using that. That's the first time I've heard it.
First time you've heard it, I can't believe that.
Well, I never heard it expressed that way.
I don't think it's in Adam's lameness, hey?
Well, I'm going to check the glossary terms at the back as soon as we're done this conversation. Well, what do you use as your planner or agenda?
Trish.
Okay, so she organizes everything for you?
Trish runs my life. What we do in my practice, we've got worksheets that we've set up. So every day and every client has a worksheet. Everything is on the computer, the schedule is in the computer, but I know what I'm doing every day. I'll go to the racing yards on a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday. On a Tuesday, I'll go to the racing yards in the morning, and sometimes I'll have sports horses in the afternoon. If not, I'll stay in the racing yards. And then every Thursday, I'll go to the stud farm. And Thursday afternoons, I'll either go and do sports horses, or I'll carry on at the stud farm, or if I'm lucky, I'll go home early.
Oh, okay.
My week is consistent every week. So I don't need to, on a Monday morning, try and look in a diary or whatever and see where I'm going, because I know where I'm going.
Okay.
We're also very lucky. We make up our lists in all of our racing yards, and our clients expect that their horses are done at least once a month.
So you have that control.
Absolutely, yeah. So my clients get cranky with me if I miss horses.
Yeah.
So, and it's
it can happen.
Yeah, no, it's a fair argument. It happens. When you're running that many racehorses.
No kidding.
You've got them, as I say, on a 3 or 4 week schedule. You are going to miss horses, and we try not to, but it does happen. And that's the only time really that my clients will get cranky with me, is if they see a horse that hasn't been done.
Right. Now, these worksheets, are they online, or do you use a certain platform to do it?
It's actually a really cool concept. Andy Rivas, again, I talk about Andy. He's shown me so much, especially about multi-farrier practice, or running a multi-farrier practice. And I got a copy of his worksheets from him. So each trainer has their worksheets for the week. We go stable to stable. We make up our list, see which horses are due. We check those against the worksheets to see when they were last done, so we know that we're not overlapping.
Right.
Yeah, and then there's a column for the horse's stable number, there's a column for the horse's name, there's a column for what gets done on the horse, there's a column for which farrier has done the horse, there's a comments column. So it's all there. So I can go back and check any horse. I can see what was done with it. I can see who shod the horse. So, and it works really, really well.
Cool. And this is just on paper?
Yep.
Written out.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. That's a really cool system.
Yeah, it's simple and it works, eh?
Yeah. Well, you'd have to have something covering those kinds of numbers to not have things drop through the cracks all the time. What's your favorite method of soothing aches and pains?
Besides jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Bourbon on ice.
There you go.
Yeah.
Recommended by most doctors.
Yeah, no, there's, again, not a whole lot of aches and pains. Every now and again, something, a little ache will crop up and I'll take an anti-inflammatory, but for the most part, good to go.
Good for you. What's your favorite genre of music?
I like all sorts, eh? I don't like the hip-hop and that type of stuff and the rap and that, but country music, some of the new stuff I like. I like old 80s music, a lot of the old 80s music.
Yeah.
My era. Yeah. I like, in South Africa, Afrikaans music. That's good. It's different. It's kind of like country and it's kind of hybridized, but we've got the English speaking people here and the Afrikaans speaking people, and then we've got another 10 other different languages in South Africa.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna have to look some of that stuff up.
Yeah, we have 11 official languages in South Africa.
Wow.
I speak English, I speak Afrikaans, I speak a little bit of Xhosa, and I speak, as a kid I grew up on the East Coast in Natal where the Zulus are, and I can speak a very little bit of Zulu as well.
No way. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and the multiple languages, does that come in handy working at the track? And
it does, absolutely. We've South African racing industry and horse industry is quite labor intensive. So we have a lot of grooms. It's not like in the UK where, it's in Australia and that it's different. We've got a lot of grooms. A groom here will I think my one trainer, he's got about 180 odd horses in training here in Cape Town, and he must have 50 grooms.
Holy K.
Yeah. As a South African, I think it's extremely advantageous to have the bare basics of speaking one of the African languages.
Right.
Firstly, for whatever reason, if I speak to one of the grooms in Xhosa, it's the level of respect goes up towards me.
Yep.
I think it makes a big difference.
That's
and
cool.
South Africa as a country, I think it makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Communication is very wanting here in South Africa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you work out?
Jeez, have you seen these guns?
Oh, well, they're cut out of the picture. Need a panoramic one.
Yeah. No, I don't work out.
Okay.
I'm not one of those body conscious guys.
Well, by the amount of work you do, I don't think you need to worry about that. Your caloric expenditure is probably way up there. So what would you have been if not a farrier?
That's a tricky one. A porn star.
That is an original answer. Do what you love.
Yeah, well, hang on. There's a story behind that. I actually got offered a job in a porn movie once.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I got to play the husband that went to work.
Oh, man. Every barn I work at this week's going to hear that one.
Truthfully, though, I don't think there was ever going to be anything else.
Yep.
I think that's why I'm here.
Yeah. The final question, the COVID question, if you had to be in lockdown with somebody for a month in their shop, who would it be? That's going to be a tough choice for you.
Yeah, that list that I was running down earlier.
Yeah. Do you just spin a wheel?
Yep,
There you go.
absolutely. You know, Nigel Fennell, Stephen, I can't even begin. I mean, these guys, they've just been not only as mentors and educators for me personally, but as friends.
Yeah.
It's been a phenomenal journey. Hey?
Yeah.
Pick a name.
Yeah, you could learn so much from any of them in a month.
Yeah,
It'd be amazing.
yeah. That's probably the hardest question you've given me.
I could see the smoke from here. Thank you so much. I know you're a busy man, and thank you for taking the time to do this.
Oh no, Brian, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's been amazing.